Yes, because every time you tell us about memories of Japan, you always talk about, things in Fukuoka. So I've actually never heard about memories in Tokyo as a child, just like you did, like to, encounter the campaign or demonstration of people. You never told me, so
There were far fewer encounters with people in Tokyo. I would I would ride the densha, and my sister and I would ride the densha. We'd go to downtown Tokyo, or we'd go to I think it was Ikebukuro, halfway, and either alone or together, and go shopping. It was at the it may have been the Cebu department store.
Yes,
In
Ikebukuro, yes.
Yes, Ikebukuro. And I would go just shop and go about. I was collecting some stamps, and some people would speak with me, and I bought my first baseman's mitt there. I bought stamps. I bought other things there. Or go to downtown Tokyo and bought stamps and just kicked around. Just went about. Um, and very comfortable on my own as a 12 and 13-year-old. So,
Which wouldn't happen in America, I guess. Go
No.
around in
not now.
town.
Not now.
As
It
only
was different
kids.
in America, but now
Mm,
people have become so much more careful.
yes. Okay. Can you tell me more about Shukuko-san memories with Shukuko-san?
Shikuko-san.
She
Shikuko-san's
taught you many things.
father, I think, was a high-ranking army officer in Manchuria, assigned to Manchuria. So I always assumed that she had a very good education.
Okay.
And so that's why I say she taught me to speak like a girl at the 16th century imperial court. But so we learned we learned politeness, we learned good Nihongo, and polite ways of communicating with people from Shikuko-san. She was very dignified, very skilled, very able, and it was difficult for her and her mother after the war. And so we were living there. We began 12 years after World War II ended. And yet, people were so gracious, so good, so friendly to us. It was amazing. And we were happy and gracious and good and friendly back. My mother loved to sew. And
Or machine.
machine,
Sewing machine.
machine and by hand. And she loved it, and the fabric in Japan is unmatched. It's so wonderful. And so she was in heaven with the fabric, and I was in heaven. I loved the paper. Japanese have the best paper, right? And Yona-san taught me hanabi, fireworks.
Yes.
Yes, and so we enjoyed Japanese fireworks, mostly the little, we call them cracker balls. Bang, bang. Not the big explosive things, but yeah. Those were great. Yes, I remember kasa.
Japanese paper made by paper or plastic?
Japanese umbrella made of
Wood or the paper?
Yeah, water repellent paper. I've very, very fond memories of Japanese food. My father, our family, because of my father, our family was involved with Japanese people and Japanese societies. And so we went out and experienced good things and good people. So we were not closed in.
Your father's pretty open and
はい。
open-minded
はい。
person.
Oh, yes. Very much. Oh.
Yeah, interesting. Back then, do people, like regular people in the streets, wore kimono? Or
Not so
Western
much.
stuff? Oh, like regular shirts and
Yes, regular
pants,
clothes and some work clothes.
like
You
suits.
know, yeah. I don't know how to describe it very well, but I just think of women, say, in the fields with a bluish cloth
Yes.
and men also, but yes, not kimono. It was a pleasure to see women in kimono, men in kimono, but more women in kimono.
Have you tried wearing kimono in Japan?
Oh,
No.
tokidoki.
Oh. Like after coming back to Japan after 50 years, 40 years, visiting your nephews and niece,
Oh,
right?
I don't wear kimono
Oh, okay.
much, often. Not often.
I hope you
No, but it's such a pleasure. It's such a beautiful garment. Now I see kimono more when I watch Japanese movies.
Oh, okay. Samurai.
Some samurai, not a
So you have zero connections as an alumni with the old classmates who studied together in Tokyo or in Fukuoka. You have zero connections.
Zen.
Do you have any reunion party?
No.
That's for like
For
high school
Narimasu.
and yeah, or maybe high school, college. There is maybe.
I don't attend.
You don't attend.
I don't attend
Why not?
reunions.
No interest.
That's a deep psychological question.
Okay, all right then. Okay, let me focus on Japanese question. So you went back to visit Fukuoka after you started working. I mean,
Hi.
when was that?
I'm not good with dates.
Yeah.
You saw the picture
Yes.
of my daughter and me, or of
Yes.
me outside the house in Kasugabaru.
Oh, that was the
That was the
one.
picture. That was from.
Did you remember the address?
I didn't remember the address. I knew where it was. I knew how many streets, how far.
Had it changed?
No.
Same?
No. The roads were paved.
Mm.
That was a big change.
Yes.
Because when I lived there in Kasugabaru, the roads were not paved, or many of the roads were not paved.
Right.
And there was a ditch, a good ditch by the side of each road, and my mother was able to drive into the ditch occasionally. And I remember the day we arrived, they were fertilizing the rice field. Oh my.
Okay.
And I remember the honey, what we called the honey mines, the collection points for the human waste.
Oyama.
Yeah, Oyama is right. Oh yeah, Big Ma.
Oh, I see.
So those were fond recollections, actually. So I mean, on the day that we arrived, my. But as I think about it and as I experienced, they were very good experiences, very good memories. So the boys in the neighborhood were good to me, and we would do some things and play ball together and do things like that. I wish, and this is merely a fond wish looking back, it never happened, never could have happened then, but I wish that we lived in Kasugabaru for 3 years. I wish that my parents had enrolled us in Japanese schools. Oh, So we would have learned our Nihongo. We would have learned about relationships with elders and with, with elders slightly older and having to use keigo and things like that. And then with olders, with seniors. And we would have learned the culture so much better. That would have been extraordinary. And so we would have been confused for a year as we picked up on the language. But then we would have, after a year, we would have been okay.
Yes.
After 2 years, we would have been pretty good. After 3 years, abunai desho.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Would have been.
It would have been great.
Yes.
It would have been great. We would have learned, katakana, hiragana,
Yeah.
some kanji. We would have to have learned some kanji.
So was that a coincidence that your nephew and nephew and wife assigned their jet program in Kyushu, Fukuoka?
They were in Kasugabaru.
They were? That was a coincidence?
No, I'm sorry, not Kasugabaru. They were in, no. They grew up in Iowa, in a town where they, in Clarinda, Iowa, where they have Japanese companies. They have, I think, 2 significant Japanese manufacturing companies. And so John and Teresa studied Nihongo at the community college while she was in high school.
That was influenced by her mother, which is your sister.
No.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
Unrelated.
Okay.
John is my nephew.
Oh, that's right. That's
Okay.
right. Yes.
And so Teresa is learning Japanese, and they have in Glenn Miller, a great musician and great during the wartime, was born in Clarinda. Big
Glenn
time.
Miller. Yes, I know.
Yeah, okay. Well, they have the Glenn Miller Festival in Clarinda. And students from a Japanese high school come over every other year and perform. And they are superb. They are excellent. And so there's that connection. And so my sister and brother-in-law host some of the students who stay there. You got to find a place for the kids to stay. So they stay in various homes throughout the community, and they were delighted.
Do you think your sister, Nancy, hosted Japanese students because she has a memory that she lived in Japan? That's why? Maybe?
So,
Oh.
certainly, yes.
Okay.
Yes, and she has great fondness for Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So Teresa grew up learning some Japanese, went to the University of Iowa. One of her majors was Nihongo. So she learned it, and John was older than she by at least 2 years, and he was deeply in love with her. So he stayed and got his master's in mathematics, and then they went to Japan as Japanese English teachers for 2 years. And he has a good ear. He's very bright. So he has a good ear and picked up Nihongo now. And so they taught in Japan, lived in Japan. We visited them.
So where were they living back then? Which school did they get assigned? Like in Fukuoka? Which
Kyushu.
prefecture?
South of Kumamoto. It was Kyushu,
Kumamoto.
small city, 30,000 people.
Oh, I thought they were assigned in Fukuoka.
No.
Oh.
Well, we're not. Yamaga. There you go.
Okay. What did you think? What did you feel when you went back to see your old town? Well, where you lived as a child. Was it like a natsukashi, means nostalgic kind of? Did you remember? Did you feel?
Oh, I remember. I'm not emotional that way.
Oh.
You know,
Mm.
I'm more logical. It
Okay.
was very pleasing, and I was very interested. Our densha stop was not kasugabaru. It was so we had to walk along, and as I walked along from a direction that was different than I anticipated, it was so interesting to walk by some things, and oh yes, I remember that. I remember the temple.
It was temple.
And then I would describe things to her. At the place where the densha crossed a major street, it would have the arms that would stop. You know, and I remember I told her, well, there was the little enclosure, the shack, the little place where the man who was in charge of that used to be. So those things came back, and okay, here I would describe the ginzas, and we called one the dirty ginza and the other the filthy ginza,
Okay.
and the railroad ginza. And the railroad ginza was not one of our. We didn't care very much about that one.
Okay.
We the other two were our ginzas, and oh yeah. And what was left, and what I remembered, and what it was like at the entry, and the dried fish, and the other things outside. It was one of the shops.
Market.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh yeah. I mean, so those memories came back. That was pleasing. And here, right, and here's the so we crossed the railroad, the tracks, and then here's the street that ran by the tracks, and the next street is our street. Ours was our street. We walked down that. And obviously there's Mr. Matsumoto's garden, and the rice field was no longer in existence. But Matsumoto, that's our house, and yes, this is the house across the street. Here's the wall that was this far from our the back of our house.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it was very tight. And then Byoin, the hospital, right
Hospital
behind.
was there when you came back.
Same place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh. Was there still?
Oh, sure. Yes. So, I mean, that was very pleasing, and to put the memories back together. So it wasn't, yes, it was nostalgic. It brought back many memories.
Mm.
But yeah.
Do you think the life or memories of Japan impact your rest of your life? I mean, after you came back to the States?
Sure.
Impact?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Way
Yes.
of thinking or?
Very fond, happy memories of good people, hardworking people, very polite people. I like Japanese people, Japanese culture, Japan.
Please come back to Japan and visit us.
We plan on it. We hope to. It is our big dream.
ありがとうございました。
どういたしまして。